I'm going to call this one the American Identity Crisis. So, right now, um, all Americans are living under a constitutional republic structure that was created by the founding fathers. And that structure we call the Constitution. Um, it defines what America is in ideological terms. It doesn't define it by area. It doesn't define it by what people are living inside of it, but rather it defines it by the document. You know, if you live uh, in this Constitution's jurisdiction, you're American, is kind of how it works for us here right now. And I think it's worth pointing out a big problem with that. So, when I'm talking about an American identity, we're talking about identifying with a form of government, a set of ideas specifically. Um, it's a very new idea where, you know, it's basically the biggest intentional community, and maybe even the first biggest intentional community that ever there was. And the difficulty we've got with it is that we've tied our identity to the document and the ideas such that should that document or idea be challenged, it's an affront to us at an identity level. So, uh, as a counterpoint, if you were to suggest to a Frenchman that his form of government needed to be abolished, the Frenchman may or may not agree with you, but what would not happen is that they would feel personally threatened because you're talking about the elimination of their identity, right? If you look at a flag the wrong way, there are a lot of Americans who are going to get very upset with you um, because it threatens that cohesion that was given by the document, right? We're a society that lives by a document. And I'm making it super simple here. States have their own documents. Everyone's got their own laws. It's a mess. But fundamentally, what makes an American is living in America, being subject to the rule of the American Constitution. That's typically what people think of when they think of American, and it's what most Americans think of when they think of American. It's like, oh no, I spent all these years pledging allegiance in school to this flag and the republic for which it stands, right? So the problem with that is that becomes our collective identity. We identify with the government, the form of government, and by proxy, the individuals wearing the roles dictated by that government have the same aura of legitimacy and connection to each of our identities. So you start talking about, you know, not liking a president, for example. There are a lot of people who get all upset at, well, that's your president too. It's like, well, yes, but I mean, where this problem's rubber meets the road is that we can't have substantive conversations about um, doing this country differently because there was no country prior to the document. There was a collection of colonies. There was a vast area of yet to be conquered Native American land. We had all these factions, and they were fighting each other usually. But 13 colonies got together, said, hey, we need to do a deal for our common defense. Okay, let's do it. Our common trade, let's do it. And they created this document, this federation of states, this and eventually, the Constitution, yada yada, blah blah blah, and yes, yada yada, blah blah blah. I'm being as quick as I can. I'm slow. So I don't know what to do with this problem where we don't know who we are without the government. That's fundamentally one of the problems that Americans have. For all of our talk of independence and our talk of the necessity to throw off evil governments when they become hostile to our freedoms. I mean, all the Declaration of Independence stuff. We can't contemplate doing that to our current form of government because we think we did it. We made it. It's the perfect form of government. Done. There's no real room for improvement. We just have to get the right people in there to adopt the right policies and agree with my ideology, and then we're off to the races. Everyone's thinking in this weird utopian kind of way with respect to our country. What are we going to do about that? That we've attached our identity to this document. Is it a problem? Is it a problem for you? Do you like that situation? Do you think that I've hit on something here that is true for you? That yeah, actually no, it really is the document, isn't it? Or do you have an American identity that goes beyond the document? I mean, is it, I don't know, rodeos, Hollywood? I mean, we've got some cultural touch points in our society that you might point at, but as far as a cultural identities goes, I mean, like, is it Friends? Is it The Wonder Years? Is it Andy Griffith? Is it I don't know. Is it a Marvel superhero movie? What's our cultural identity? But for the document, we don't share the same news. We've all got our own curated news feed that's based on our own interaction style on our screens, right? Like what I see going on in the news is going to be different than what you see going on in the news, and we're going to try to have a conversation together, and we're coming at it this way because we're not seeing each other because we haven't seen the same, we haven't received the same software upgrade or update, rather. I wouldn't call it an upgrade. So what binds us other than that document, and is the document strong enough to bind us, and is it right that that document should be the thing that binds us? As an idea, an intentional community means everyone who's there is agreed and bought into the community, right? That's true of the people who found the community, but it's not true of their children necessarily. The children in that intentional community might just want to do something else. This is kind of weird and cult-like, and I've known the same, several kids all my life, and I want to branch out, right? Like for the intentional community, the people who founded it, yeah, good idea. You all got together, great, good for you. But several generations down the road, you look around and go, I don't know about some of those ideas that were there. I mean, I think some of them might have been good. I think that they didn't do enough to rein in excesses of government or to keep corruption from seeping into the seams between the facade. I mean, what would our identity be without that document? And is that a conversation that we can have, or are we just too afraid to touch that? Honestly, like the idea of opening up a constitutional convention to try to change that document right now in such polarized times, oh my God, can you imagine? That said, when the Constitution was written, it was written between people who had very different ideas about how to do it. Everyone talks about the Federalist Papers and this, that, and the other thing. Very few people talk about the Anti-Federalists. The people that are like, actually, I think this is too much power to give to one centralized grand authority. Maybe we should be doing something a little differently and make it more states' power, states' rights kind of thing, less federal power. There was a whole conversation, a heated conversation about that before that document got written and finally ratified, right? So maybe a constitutional convention is less scary than I think it is. I think it's freaking frightening. But maybe it's pulling a Band-Aid off, because what we've got now, doesn't seem to be guaranteeing freedom to anyone, really, unless you've got a lot of money. And that's true. Like, if you've got a lot of money, you've got a lot more freedom than if you don't have a lot of money. Now, if you're dirt poor, like homeless, you've actually got more freedom than a lot of people in the middle class. Your life is a lot harder, but you've got more freedom to scoff the laws and stuff like that. I mean, cops aren't going to bug you for the most part. They'll just shove your tent around a lot, which is obnoxious, by the way. But our national identity, who are we? Is it really just the document? Is that the glue that holds us together? And if so, I wonder, I worry about that, because honestly, there are a lot of people who want to scrap the document altogether. It was, written by a bunch of rich white men, a couple hundred years ago, and they were slaveholders, and it was obviously flawed because the people who wrote it were obviously flawed. And there's some truth in that. There is. It's also not. Revisionist history is hard. When you look back and say, oh, they did it wrong. It's like, well, you're right. You've got the benefit of 200 years of hindsight. They had some things wrong. They did. And the question is whether or not we want to continue to move forward with the creation that they made for us, ostensibly, to move forward with for our own children. And right now, what we've got is a system that protects very bad people. And I mean, let's take Jeffrey Epstein's list. Our system hasn't gone anywhere with that. It just doesn't want to address it. Why doesn't it want to address it? Because there are a lot of names that shouldn't be out there, according to the powers that think that they are rightfully in power. It wasn't released during Trump's first term. He had months to investigate that and parade the nasty people in our society around in a show trial. And I think that the American psyche would have loved a lynching, quite honestly, for the people that were involved in that kind of stuff. Trump didn't do it. Why? Then you got Biden. 4 years they had the stuff. No lynchings. Why? It's Trump again. No lynchings. And he's now officially killed himself, according to the Trump administration. Why? Could it be that the people that are ruling our country are completely compromised? Not a little bit corrupt, but completely compromised. That someone's got so much dirt on these people that they can make them do whatever they want and control the country, no matter what the people want to do or want not to have done to them. Could it be that our Constitution didn't defend us against this, and that working within the Constitution just gives those people the power to lord over us continuously, in perpetuity? I mean, as long as we keep believing in these documents and believing in the rules and believing in doing it in a certain process way, we've got a problem, which is that the people with more lawyers and more money, our money, by the way, because they stole it from us at the point of a gun, they get to continue doing what they're doing because we've got a legitimate form of government. Our democracy, our institutions are all still standing. They're standing in a way that benefits the worst people among us. The worst people. And that's perpetuated by that document, by us, pledging allegiance to it, to us blindly believing that, the cops are there to help us, the military is there to defend us. I'm sorry. If you're putting on boots, strapping a gun across you, and going to another country, you're not doing defense. If you're engaged in that, that's not defense. You are the aggressor, right? We're aggressing everywhere, and not only that, we're selling guns to our friends. all over the place. Um, the Constitution has been no barrier to it. You could say that the Constitution led to the current state of empire, and that it is not stopping our current state of decline of empire, right? Um, but what's our identity without this form of government? What do we do? Do we keep the name American? Is that okay? I mean, a lot of people in the rest of the Americas think it's funny we call ourselves American because they're American too. What would our identity be without that document? I don't know, but I think it's a very real problem when it comes to challenging the authority of our government. Is that most people um, connect their identity with the form of government, with the government, and the government isn't there to help us. It's there to perpetuate itself. At a certain point, the system becomes the reason for the system, and we're there. We're so there. And some people have climbed the ladder there to give themselves positions of authority or power over other people. They're all psychopaths. They're all nuts. They're all self-interested. They're all trying to get ahead. Somehow, miraculously, when you join Congress, you're not making very much money, but by the time you're out, you've got a couple $1,000,000. How did that happen on $200,000 a year? I mean, minus expenses. Like how did that happen? Insider trading, which we're not allowed to do, but they are, right? The rules say they can do it. The rules say they can do it, and so they do it. Well, who wrote the rules? They did. It's an insane system. It's an insane form of, I won't call it an insane form of government. I think all governments are pretty insane when you think about it. Some people would argue they are a necessary evil, but more people would argue that they're necessary goods. And I don't agree with that at all. But we have I think one of our biggest obstacles to righting this country is our government. And I'm concerned that, in getting rid of the government, we would be robbing so many people of identity, then it would be very detrimental. I don't know how to square that. Please, if you got any thoughts, share them. I don't have a whole lot of subscribers. I think I got 19 last time I checked. So, hi all. Love you guys. Tell me what you think about national identity without a government. Thanks.